Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another interesting topic on conversations and conscious change. We have all heard about having a purpose, we've all heard about having passion for what we do. But how many of us actually pursue that passion without having any sort of, things that stop us? Or are we resilient enough to actually carry on with what we want to actually bring and change into the world? Very few people who I have had the pleasure of meeting, and Pamini Hemaprabha is one of those people. So, welcome to the call, Pamini. Just a little bit more about Pamini. She is the executive housekeeper of an amazing complex. She has actually had 16 years of experience of really doing some awesome work with making a change of how things are done, and in 7 different countries, working with multitude of cultures, and actually yet holding her ground in what it is that she would like to bring to the industry, to the work that she does. She has received 7 international accolades. Now, I am very interested in knowing, how did you go about doing this? And before we started, we were having this conversation, Pamini, about purpose. So let's talk about purpose. What is your driving force, and what made you come into this purpose?
First of all, thank you so much, Jenny, for that wonderful introduction. And it's such an honor to be here with you on this podcast. And I'm sure that together we'll emphasize a lot on these women empowerment issues and all the driving forces. So to begin with, I think you have really touched my favorite point: purpose. I've been born into Indian Air Force family back in India, and being raised up throughout India. It was something that was very much instilled in me from the childhood, that your every action has to be purpose driven.
Yeah.
But I think what really pushed me to achieving anything that I've achieved so far was purely on the fact that I could not see anything come easily. And I think a lot of there were a lot of apprehensions back then, and I'm literally talking about 16, 18 years ago, when I was kind of in my teens and graduated and all of that.
Mhm.
I was not, there were so many questions of why and how, because there's a lot of things that I never understood as to why uh, only doctorate and engineering graduations are preferred more, and they are more likable than the others.
Mhm.
Why girl has to be married off at a certain age, and why Indian parents are kind of very much worried about that, more than what the career should be.
Mhm.
So, and I was no exception. These were something that I grew up listening to, and that became a very driving force, because
Mhm.
I did not buy this idea that you got to be educated and then you should be married off, or you need to have an experience, but then a little experience is enough, but once you get married off, then your priorities change. I never understood that. So that was a very, very big driving force, because I could see that that was something that women are not just capable of. Women are much more than what the society kind of gives
Target you,
you.
or
It
praise
targets
you.
you, or yeah, they kind of they help you in creating your future, but I don't think that's kind of justified.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I know that there was an age where women were less educated and things were not as developed as they are today. But I think today's generation, and even back then when I was graduating, little around 18, 20 years ago, it was like, you are there, you are in an independent country, democratic country, you can dream big, you have the access to the best of education.
Mhm.
And that's very painful to see that someone has been educated from best of university with best of grades and have not been very successful in the career,
Mhm.
simply because they have surrendered themselves to maybe what society has
Mhm.
asked them to. Maybe it's like family or kids or some other reasons, but I think women can do more and then strike a balance. So, and I thought this, I took a vow, and I thought that I would never give this example. I would set an example of balanced life, wherein I don't have to let go of my aspirations and dreams.
Mm.
At the same time, I'm gonna satisfy my parents and the demands that society have from a Asian girl, like you got to be married off, you should to have a beautiful family, because I never dreamt of having only life with career. So I actually wanted both of it,
Yeah,
but I
but
always
but,
wanted to strike a balance.
but which is a very interesting thing that you bring, because it's not so much the way that I see how you've been able to do things. It's not so much what you thought about other people or what they were saying on the outside. It was something that you yourself took as a motivating and inspirational way
Absolutely.
of actually moving forward. So coming to that, I think what you've just talked about is many people have got the stereotyping that a girl a girl's job is to, yeah, we'll educate her a bit, and then obviously she's going to get married, and then and have the children, and then just forget about everything else, and she has no
Absolutely.
aspirations whatsoever. But I'm glad that you bring that up, because your story is a way I look at it, is a source of glory that everyone could actually listen to and go, wow. So, having said that, did you experience any battles, whether mental or emotional battles, that you had to actually look at, not become the effect self, and yet pursue your purpose? Could you share some of
I,
those with us?
yes, I mean, I can delightfully share this one experience that I've had with regards to my complexion. So I think I'm pretty dark complexed,
I think
good
you look
looking.
gorgeous, babes.
But it's not the way you're made to feel. And I remember growing up, it started off from very much within your home or within your relative circle, where people
Mm,
would come and say, oh, you've got a girl and with a dark complexion, so you got to set this much of dowry
holy
to get her
Jesus.
married off.
Oh my.
And which I know is just ridiculous, because our Indian system doesn't allow that.
Yeah,
It's illegal to even ask and give dowry.
yeah, exactly.
So, but
Exactly.
still, people would put so much pressure, and I have actually heard my parents discuss this, and that really broke my heart, because they were discussing about, like, how much money should we have to get Pamini married off, because she looks a certain way, or maybe she has a certain complexion. Not that they were very worried about it, but they were made to
Yes,
by the
it,
relatives
it,
and by
it's,
society.
it's the social pressures
It's the
that drive
pressure.
people insane. You're right. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
So,
then, I had an incident where there was an alliance that came into our house,
yeah.
and the lady, the mother of the groom, I mean, she said, "Oh, my daughter, my son is a doctor, but your daughter is of this complexion, so we would take around 10 to 12 lakhs more." And those days, I'm talking about 22 years ago, 12 lakhs, and my father being just an employee, and I was like, "No way!" And I you know I really took that situation in my hand, and I told the lady that, would you please leave the house now before I call the cops? Because, this is just stupid.
It's
And my
totally
mom got,
ridiculous.
yeah, and she she said, oh, your daughter is black and she has a big mouth too. And I was like, oh God,
Holy
what
shit.
society we live in. And my mom is like, look, if you go on on a rampage like this, then no one's gonna get you back, no one's gonna marry you. I was like, that's all right. And I told my mother, it's all right that if no one comes and marries me, it's fine, because this is just not right that the society puts or tags a girl because the way she looks, or maybe she has a certain complexion. I said, which world we are living in? So this incident actually made me so tough.
Mm,
And because I had such encounters 2 3 times, can you
mm.
imagine, Jenny? 2 3 times people would come to me and reject me because
Of your
I
complexion. That's
of my complexion. That's ridiculous.
totally
And I was like,
stupid.
and I say, I'm gonna write my own destiny. I said, mom and dad, that you have to trust me, and I don't think complexion is an issue at all, the way it has been made by
Mm,
society. But we must not fall prey to it, or
mm,
get into this trap. You got to trust me and let me fly. I'm going to prove, the time shall prove, you know what happens to people, because we got to rise above it and we have to set example. The moment you encounter such negativity, I think you got to take charge and you have to do something where action speaks louder than words and people get the message.
Exactly.
So
No, but I think what you're talking about is, and I keep seeing this all the time, because many people get victimized by
yes,
social pressures. Many people will throw in the towel and say, well, I tried, but nothing happened. Many people will also say, but the world is like this, and I really can't do anything about it. I'm not going to fight the world. But then the question here arises, and you put it so eloquently, is that you've got to rise above this situation. And I love that, because personally I have experienced a lot myself. But it's about, do you want to play victim, or do you really want to stand up? It's about showing up.
true,
And my new tagline for 2021
true,
is, I don't care what it is. It's about all of us being able to show up as you are, not what other people expect of you. And that's the
true,
change that all of us actually have to
true,
come into. It's absolutely true. So now, having said
true,
that, this,
absolutely.
you left your home at a very young age to pursue that passion and that purpose that has brought you to who you are today. Would you like to
That's
tell us a bit about that?
no, that's another battle to talk about.
But that, you see, that it's not a battle. You see, it may seem like a battle, but the amazing part that we want to share with the audience here is, Pamini, how you were carried from one space to the other.
True, true, true,
I
true.
mean, the universe had your back there, lady.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, yeah, it was when I was just 20 years old.
Wow.
And being the only daughter, like I
Mm,
have got my elder brother, but I'm the youngest at home. So
mm,
obviously there was a lot of fear factor as to,
mm.
oh, she shouldn't go anywhere alone. I understand, I respect that, a mother's feeling, a parent's feeling, like you got to be protective about your girl child, I
Right,
get that.
right, right.
But it came to a stage where it started to suffocate me, because I, on one side, I started dreaming of exploring the world. Okay, I'm gonna work in London or US or Gulf, wherever I get the opportunity. I started looking out for that. And on the other side, my parents were looking for same sort of locations but for groom. Oh, maybe let's look for, yeah. Instead of sending your girl and trusting your girl, you started looking for an alliance who's based there so you could go there. I said, no, I don't need a company. I got to do this on my own. And that was a very, very difficult battle to be won,
Mm,
because with an Indian parent and
mm.
with the only girl child at the tender age of 20, my mother used all possible Bollywood mechanism to stop me from going abroad. So my first job was here in this beautiful land, Dubai,
Mm.
with the grand have. And then I was so excited about it. I was like, oh God, I'm gonna go on my own. I've got a job. I'm gonna pave path, for my beautiful career and all these things. And on the other side, my mom is like, if you're gonna go, then I'm gonna kill myself. And she's like, if you're going to step out of this house, then you're never coming back. All possible of drama that you can visualize, that comes from Indian cinema. And I was like, I was telling my mom, what is that you fear? She's like, what if something happens, something wrong happens, you're our only child, and who's gonna there, how can I show my face to society, who will marry you? Again the topic came to marriage.
Mm,
I was
mm.
like, Mom, you have to
Let
believe me.
go.
You're not trusting me. And she did everything. And that battle kind of went back and forth about 2 months.
Oh my God.
And she didn't speak to me for days,
The
for
soap
weeks.
opera, the marriage
So
soap opera.
I tell you, I possibly did everything from crying to begging to, pleading to convincing her, but nothing seemed to work until a day that I stood up to my father and I said, Dad, if there's anything that I want to ask you is this opportunity. I want your permission to go, to let go
Understood.
of me and trust me. If you don't trust me, the world is not going to trust me. If my own parents not going to trust me, no third party is going to trust me. And I think that's what turned my dad around, and my dad kind of then went about convincing my mom. And my dad said that, okay, you're going to go only for a year, and then you see how things are, and you're going to come back. I said, yes, if things don't go the way I want, or if I'm facing some sort of struggles, I'll definitely come back.
Mhm.
And then he's like, okay. So then that happened. But on the day that I was about to leave, my mom flipped and she changed her point. So I had to jump from the window with my suitcase.
Gee
And
whiz, we
that's in
could make a
Bangalore.
film on it.
That's in Bangalore. And I was like, I'm going to go. I said, no, 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 no. My flight is in few hours. You're not going to start this drama again. I'm not at all falling into this. And sometimes, I visualize myself at that 20 years, old girl, and, with full of this. Where did I get that courage from? I think all this kind of, so, these pressures that I had encountered, I just did not like them. And I was so much empowered at that age to, to fight for my own dreams.
Mhm.
And I took a stand against my parents. And that's what I think, laid a beautiful foundation for the courage of fearless attitude that I have. And when I jumped and I went to the airport, I saw my parents coming right behind me, and then the whole crying happened at the airport and everything. And then I took promise, we
Mhm.
had hugged each another, and I said, Mommy, nothing's gonna go wrong. You got to trust me. I'll be fine. I'll be safe. And that's how my plane took off.
That's amazing. What a story. So, what do you see that what made you
Hmm.
pursue your target from you call it purpose, I call it target. So,
Hmm.
but the purpose, what was your purpose? Was it to prove that you could stand on your own two feet? Was it to prove that you could actually be whatever it is that you chose to be? And I want to know from you, what made you tick and actually continue? Because when you go in as a 20-year-old coming to a brand new country
Yeah,
and not having a clue as to what to do,
true.
you may have experienced a whole lot of interesting situations. How did you
Absolutely.
overcome those? I mean, what
This is again
people
all
making
very
fun of
real.
you? Were people making fun of you? Oh, here's the Indian, and what the hell does she, or
No, I
who
mean,
does she think she
uh,
is? You have all kinds. It doesn't only happen in school, where you have
I
ragging.
know the bullying and all that
It
stuff. Yes,
happens at
yes.
breakfast.
No, I must say that, when I came to Dubai, I mean, I never faced any sort of racial discrimination here,
Okay, cool.
literally.
I think
But
the
that
Bible.
I'm going to touch base on it. That point I'll touch base on it, which I faced in one of the other countries. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but no, not in this beautiful land I have ever faced. But life was not easy, Jenny. It was
Mm,
hard work, long hours.
mm,
And yes, it's true that very many times I felt that I'm not appreciated
mm,
for what I'm doing. And and this multiculturalism that I was exposed to, because now that I knew how to get along with every possible Indian, North Indian, East, West, South, but which itself is very diverse. If you were to be raised in all parts of India, that itself is like living in a mini world with all these different cultures. But when I came here, so that was a very beautiful learning. So I embraced it with a lot of positivity, but I did have my lot of lows in
mm,
terms of work pressure,
mm,
and in terms of I'm a hardcore vegetarian, so there was a little bit issue with my
mm.
food habits initially.
But I want to ask you one thing.
Hmm.
What do you think allowed you to get up every day in the morning to pursue your purpose? What was it?
It was the promise that I made to my parents, because the way I came out of India was so dramatic that if I were to go back, I would be perceived as loser, and they would be right.
Yeah. Mm, mm,
By I mean they would be the society.
mhm.
Like, oh, you shouldn't send the girl out. Why? This is the reason why we said you should not send her
I
out.
told you
Look, this is
so.
what happens now. So I knew that I have taken this decision to come here, which was up against my whole family, my relatives, a lot of friends. There were a lot of people who kind of instilled the fear in me. Oh, something's gonna go wrong with you at this age. So a lot of people that actually pulled me back
Mhm.
were the people that I thought, oh God, if I were to go back, then it's like proving them right.
Mm-mm.
So they would think that this is the reason why they never allow girl, because girls can surrender, girls will give up, and I never wanted to be that girl. And I remember there was one very, very, very low dipping point that actually took place,
Mm,
and I called my father in the midnight, and I
mm,
was in the terrace of my accommodation. I was very, very low, and I called my dad, and my dad could actually understand with the tone, and he said just one line which pumped in so much energy in me again all over, was that he said, don't never forget that you're a fighter's daughter.
wow.
It's my dad from Indian Air Force. He's like, I can only say that you never forget you're a fighter's daughter, and the fighting spirit is something that, I have given to you
Mm,
as part of my upbringing. So whatever life throws at you, never quit fighting. You die as a fighter, he said. You never return back as a loser.
wow.
You might not win the battle, that's all right, but you got to die as a fighter. And that night, everything,
Change.
all this sobbing and sorrows and negativity that was trying to come towards me, they just vanished with that one line. And I was a different person yet again. And I was like, no, no, my father has showed so much confidence in me. And he just said that one line, and that line sticks to me even until today, that world can be anything, people can be anything to you, but you got to stay, live, die as a fight.
Totally, totally. Wow, I like that. That's wow. It's just wow. Right.
Thanks.
So
Yeah, I so walk by every word of that, every
seriously, because
letter of
it's very powerful, powerful. Can you say it one more time? Wow.
it. You live and you work, you die as a fighter.
Wow. So in short,
You never
and if I was to rephrase that, I would actually say, never give in, never
yeah,
give up, and never
yeah,
quit on you.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
you're just a warrior, but you may not have those amulets, that swords, but every single person alive today is a warrior. They're fighting their battles,
That's
some sort of battles. And we may not be wearing those,
um,
warrior
mm,
dresses, armors, and everything, but we've got that biggest weapon, which is our heart and our
mm,
mind. We
mm.
have to make sure that we cannot surrender to negativity and pressures. We should fight. It doesn't matter who wins or who loses, but the dignity lies in the way you fight.
No,
The
that's very powerful.
dignity,
Yes, powerful.
yes, and the true meaning of your existence as a human being lies in the way you fight. It is never about whether you won the battle or you lost it. It's if people get carried away with these results are nothing. Results happen. Results happen. It can happen for you or against you, but that to me doesn't matter at all. I'm never a result driven person. I'm attitude driven person. It's the way you fought, it's the way you led your life, that is what matters, and that's what going to remain. But people, they change their stances according to the result.
Mm,
If I see that by doing this I'm going to win this, then they go that way. By doing this I'm going to, you know
mm.
make that sort of a, results towards, in favor of me. That's what they do. They change their principles, they change their values, they change their system according to the result. But I think, what is the end result of this life? That's why I associate purpose. The end result is nothing. You come with nothing, you go with nothing. The way you lead is everything.
That is one powerful statement, lady. Awesome. Thank you very much for that. And I think our audience is going to enjoy listening to this. So now, tell us about the work that you do. What is it that you
Mhm.
do?
So yes, I'm a hospitality professional. So I'm a graduate of hotel management,
Okay.
and I was a gold medalist in Bhatia University in 2003 when I
Wow.
graduated. So, so I started my career with ITC Park Sheraton in Chennai,
Mhm.
and I never wanted to be an housekeeper, because my I think my interests were more towards F&B
Mm,
and front office. But somehow I think I didn't get through those divisions, and I got through only housekeeping. So I obviously started off on a not a very positive note, because I was not very passionate about it. But then I later on, I really loved everything about what housekeeping stands for. It's about aesthetic maintenance of these billion-dollar properties that people have,
mm,
and it's about leading a team which is, and here I'm going to focus on a team that is least educated, least privileged, and the team that needs to be led through emotional intelligence only to be able to achieve the results is what actually really attracted me. If I were to lead a bunch of, let's say, MBAs or, you know, most qualified people, then that there is a different way to
Oh,
lead those people
yeah.
because they are already aware of how the world functions. They have some understanding. But in housekeeping sector, you go to any place, you always have people coming from difficult backgrounds,
Mm.
challenging lives, and every person has story, a sob story, and then all of them come together in a place and you're expecting them to be motivated, happy, and positive about their work every single day despite a very challenging life that they're leading
Mhm,
at the back.
mhm,
So you need another kind of leadership to elevate these people. And I found that very interesting about this because I started connecting them very well, and I think this is something that I naturally have to be able to connect with people and connect in not just because okay, I'm working with you, so I'm going to connect only on a professional base. I connect a bit more than that so that I'm able to empower them with positivity so they can even fight their personal battles with certain
mhm.
attitude. So I get into their lives and I try to change it in any which way I can. And that really brought me into this sector. And then obviously this team is the team that is really very much valued even today, because especially in pandemic times,
Mm.
this team is safeguarding the whole colleagues, because we keep the hotels clean, we keep the hygiene levels to the best standards possible, and we work with sophisticated chemicals and machines. And then there are a lot of trainings that happens. There's a lot of customer service culture that is instilled into all these people. So there is a lot of work that actually goes behind the scenes. It's
Mm.
not just okay, clean the hotel or you maintain it. It's much more than that. And above all, what people need to understand is that housekeeping is completely a division where no one joins, no attendant joins thinking
Mm.
wanting to join housekeeping. When they don't have any other option, they kind of choose this option. So you already have people, and that's most of the cases. I would love to be wrong here, but I think 80 percentage of the times, people only walk into this profession because they have had very challenging life and they really need some sort of a financial help. And then those are the people that you have to mentor, guide, lead them. So that you need another level of leadership skills, another level, to be able to get those people to do what they are supposed to do and what they're expected to do, and then make sure they do it consistently is another art. Then it's like I believe that I really value this particular role of all exec housekeepers, because they all need to be saluted, because what they do is amazing. It's beyond beyond any
And I
any
think that many people
yes,
don't even know the value of housekeeping and
yes,
housekeepers and the
yes,
team that really ensures that when we come in as guests, we actually are taken care of. All those little minute details
yes,
of the good
yes.
night chocolates. I love.
Ah,
Okay,
good night
and
chocolates,
I think
yes.
I've been to various hotels in different parts of the world, and because I've visited them, they actually get to know you,
Mm-hmm.
and they know what your preferences are. And every time that I've gone back, it's like, "Hi, Miss Jennifer. We remember last time you were here,"
See,
and that,
yeah,
and I find that so. It
touching,
actually makes that personal touch, and I think
absolutely.
that actually makes a difference. But coming back to you, lady, it's
Mm-hmm.
not only the what I'm seeing over here, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is you've got this innate ability
Okay.
to empower, to lead with dignity, to instill dignity, to help people to operate not from aptitude but attitude.
Yeah, true.
So
So
it's
true.
totally remarkable what you do.
Thank you.
Uh, I've actually noticed you also when I visited your hotel um, just a couple of months back. And I noticed how you communicate with people who you manage.
Okay,
And for me,
that's
it
fine.
was because I'm a very, and that's why you all
Good
actually,
observer.
yeah, because I looked at the beautiful energy that you had to inspire someone to take action so that what you were doing would actually be perceived as something that was so reliant on that person to do so perfectly well that it would give an amazing impression to people who were watching you as your guests, to have this amazing impression of how the hotel was and what housekeeping was. And I found that so refreshing.
Oh,
And I think what I saw there, and today I don't think many people would talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it because I truly admire the way that you made a person. Because I've been in recruitment and I've seen how people treat people, and I was pleasantly surprised when I saw you in action. You actually motivated an electrician to take act
oh, wow.
that actually would impress upon the values of your hotel to make your guests more comfortable.
True, true.
And we do
That's a
not,
lovely observation.
no, seriously, we don't really notice these things. And we treat people sometimes like garbage. But to everyone who's actually listening in, next time you are at a hotel, please honor and
Yes,
value the
yes,
people who serve you
yes, yes.
because they are
Absolutely,
human beings just like you. They
absolutely.
truly require your admiration,
True,
your acknowledgement, and
true.
a big fat thank you. Gratitude,
Absolutely.
seriously, because it is. I've been in the hotel industry, but I used to be in purchasing when I was in Kuwait at the Meridian Hotel,
Wow, really? Wow. I
and I
didn't know
was the
that.
youngest purchasing manager in the whole of the Meridian chain of hotels. But then when I looked at you and I looked at me and I thought to myself, what made us different? It was not us trying to impress somebody about the work we did. It never was, and it never is what it is and how I work. And I think you're the same too. But it was more about what value can I bring to what is it that I do?
True, true.
Because it's not about us when we're actually
Absolutely.
working, it's about what
It's for
impact
people.
are we creating? Exactly. What
Absolutely.
transformation are we bringing into the world?
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
then to go back a bit, it requires us as individuals to be resilient, to be
Absolutely.
empowered, to empower other people to actually be their best, no matter what it is.
True,
Okay,
true.
we're not here to
Absolutely.
judge people out of existence.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
it's ridiculous to do that, and it's not to reprimand people, that all the time.
Tell me about it. I've been reprimanded so many times in my career. And that's I tell you, and I have to say this to you, Jenny, is that many times the way I led people or my people management skills were questioned by certain leaderships
Mhm.
during my career journey, and they would be like, oh, you're very soft with people. Oh, I think you should create the fear factor. People should fear you, and you should not be giving so much time to them. You should, your body language should be such that people should think again to approach you. I never agreed to that. Because a is that no one ever gave me that space which I wanted, so I know what it is to be spoken nicely to and to be appreciated. I don't need money or presents or gifts. I need words,
Mhm.
words that can lift my mood, words that can instill positivity in me. No one gave, I can tell you. in my 16 years of career, I've had on fingertips, I can tell you 1 or 2 people that have kind of, I felt that they are like close to be a very good leader.
Mm-hmm.
90% of the people that I have kind of met, I never felt that they were dynamic. Dynamic in the sense like, oh, wow, they are like, wow, they can, this is the personality, this is fierce, I'm going to learn something. So everything that I learned is by looking at what's wrong. So exactly. So I actually, and I was the odd one out because the whole crowd around me would say, oh, she's getting reprimanded. Oh, that means there's some flaw in her, And that happened from my beginning of my career. So I was always the talk of my department, because I was always this extraordinary one. In my eye I was extraordinary. In others' eyes, I was like, okay, no, I think she's a little odd. People, I never, I never understood. I said, and this exactly what you said, Jenny, is that we are here for a short time. I mean, that could be a corporate industry or corporate career or your life as such, or within your family. What is important is that how you make the people in your life at work or off feel.
Mm-hmm.
If I am a leader and I am the head of the department, I'm leading a certain section of people and I'm unable to inspire them, oh God, then it's useless job that I'm doing. I mean, there's so many people who look up to you. There's so many people who want to aspire to be like you. There's so many people who want promotion, who want development, who want career growth. They don't need money. They need advice. They need inspiration. They need words. They need what is the right way of leading a certain people, certain people, because there are many people who lead, but that's what the major difference is between boss and a leader.
Are they leading the people into the ground?
Looks like, because to me leadership skills are still not there. I mean, they're not. We got to have dynamic leadership skills. We need to really lead our people in such a way that they don't, it's not about how much time you have in that organization or what you do. You must leave a mark in their life that anytime they think about you, they feel good about themselves.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, because people are people. I mean, if people are our most valuable asset, which I keep saying all the
Absolutely.
time, how are they showing up? I mean, do you want them to fear you? So why should they fear anyone? I mean, what do you, a taskmaster? I mean, what are you trying to prove? That you're worthy
Exactly.
or unworthy? And I think people skills is something that many people are more inclined, especially in the corporate world, and I've noticed this. And I think it's time to change that now, because many people have only aspired to have a certain designation.
Absolutely.
And they think the
Yeah, yeah.
designation gives them the right to treat everyone else like crap.
Tell me
I
about
think
it.
that's supposed to stop now. And I think this wake up and shake up call that we've had actually has opened the eyes of leaders to learn to be vulnerable.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
that's exactly, it takes back to our old statement, Jenny. It's like people are so result oriented, which is like maybe having a designation, maybe having a certain post, that they forget the way they should fight. Or maybe the fighting spirit gets compromised
Exactly. And they're not fighting.
because you are result oriented.
Exactly. So the fight is within you
Mhm.
to actually outperform yourself, which you
Absolutely. You
have
only,
to do.
yeah, the only competitor is yourself. That's
Exactly.
true.
And people don't get that. The only
That's
one
true.
that you compete with.
People don't get that. They compete with others.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then it's all about let's look at how we can compete with so and so to get a better product.
Yeah.
And it's like, give me a
No
break.
need.
Have you got any creativity left in you, which all of us are unique in ourselves? So, what creativity do you have within yourself that will inspire you to create something totally different without having to make someone else less or you more? What is that? It's ridiculous. I think we're going to have another conversation on that at some time, because I find it the weirdest thing that goes on. I've got to prove. What are you proving? That means you've acknowledged that you're not good, and you're not even looking at
Absolutely.
what is your inherent skill set, or what makes you unique, what makes you stand out.
If you ask any person, Jenny, that what are your 3 objectives in life? they would not be able to tell you in 30 seconds.
Totally. I get that totally all the time.
They would like,
Anything.
um, people just do not know what are the main things, what are their priorities, because we are so much entangled within short-term goals that we forget to see the big picture. And like, I mean, I always knew from my high school, I always knew that my first responsibility is towards my parents, and I'm going to work, earn, make sure that I'll secure their old age, so they never worry about money. B is that I'm going to have my own family. I'm going to stay responsible for my family. I'm going to make sure that I do my work very well. And third is that I remain loyal to the nation that I'm born into. I'm going to do something there. I'm not going to die like that. I'm going to make sure that I contribute to the development of my nation. That's about it. There is no fourth, there is no fifth for me. So I've got my objectives.
So we've heard about one, your first objective. We've heard about the second one. We're coming to the third one. And I think you've already done something and you're on the way now to actually creating it. And you've made a mark already by actually writing a book.
Yes, I did 2 years ago.
Could you show us what the book is? Say no. Oh my
Say
God, it's so
no.
cool. Say no.
Say no. Everyone should say no. Learn to say no.
Okay, so
Very difficult. Just 2 words, Jenny. I bet you that people are so hesitant to use these words.
and
So
so is it available? People can buy this book?
yes, it's out on Amazon and Flipkart
Okay, cool.
and
We're going
on
to put
Google
in all
Store.
the links over there for people to have easy
Sure,
access to it. But
sure.
could you tell me before we round up, what were the 3 reasons that you chose to write the book?
The very first reason was that there should not be another Pamini Hemaprabha who um, who changes her thought process because she has faced certain stigma. So I thought that if this is what I have faced and this is what the pressure is all about as a girl child, I thought there should not be anybody else who, maybe, I don't know, someone can have the courage, many may not have that courage. So I felt the need to pen down my own story and my own hurdles in such a way that how many no's I've said in my life to be where I am today. And that started very much from the home. So I thought I should pen this down and I should make this available. I've actually distributed a lot of these copies to schools and colleges freely, because I really want every young girl who's in 10th class and above, who's dreaming about becoming somebody, but who's been constantly pressurized to get married or to be a certain way, or not to do this because something's going to happen, to read this book, because it can develop you a real attitude of saying no to anything that pulls you back, anything that stops you from dreaming, anything that questions your ability. You must say no to that, and that could be anybody.
Wow.
Even if your own parents doubt your skills, you say no to them, because I think this is what woman needs. And nation will never develop until every woman in every household develops. Then we're far from reaching that goal of a developed country. So it was a little effort and the feel to pay back, to give back to what I received is something that actually drove me. And when I also, second reason is that I am a die-hard, what do I say, person, a believer in woman empowerment. So this is another reason why actually I penned down, and as we speak, I finished writing my second book, which is about to get published in a month's time. I'm gonna
Wow.
come back to that again. My the name of that book is Dare, and I'm gonna give you more detail on that. So Dare, the real dare that people should have. And that's something actually always made me feel to contribute towards that in my own little way that I could. And the third is that I've been an active speaker, international speaker for last 7 years. I've visited many countries speaking, and every country I go, the issues with women are same. and the fear that every woman, the if and the buts and should I and could I, all this stays the same. And that made me another reason as to why I should not stop ever writing, or I should not stop empowering women. I should be actively participating in any channel, through any channel, to be the voice of every single woman. And it's a delight to see another woman succeed. Absolutely a delight. I think this is something every woman should learn, to applaud to the success of another woman.
Yes, I
Which we
think
don't do enough.
a powerful woman will not get another woman down.
Absolutely.
Should be
Absolutely.
actually standing to cheer them on.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to take it to another level. Pamini, what could you do
Hmm.
to help with gender equality? What are your thoughts on gender equality? Because I truly believe that males and females, at the end of it, we are all one. You know,
Absolutely.
we are actually souls, and we are beings, right? Without a gender. It's pretty similar to if all of us were to look at the world, we won't have any definition of this is China, this is India, this is the States, this is. We are all human beings, and we're all global citizens. That's been my
Absolutely.
aspiration, actually, to look at the world
Absolutely.
like that. And
Absolutely.
and if we can all look at ourselves as just citizens of the world, and if we can all look at ourselves as beings around, what would we be able to do that would be different, that we can actually shift and change, so we can actually all come together instead of separating and creating all this animosity and struggle and drama and trauma. I think it's totally required at this particular time. What are your thoughts on that?
I have a couple of thoughts. I think it's a very, very lovely subject, and I guess need of the hour, where we really talk loudly about it. To me, in my view, there's no difference. If at
Absolutely.
all anyone takes a little bit upper hand, has to be woman. But it is definitely equal. I would say that it's absolutely equal. But again, value value system, Jenny, that's what plays a major role. Upbringing plays a major role. All these people, if you ask any person walking across you and say that, could you share your top two values in life, again there will be a pause. People are not value driven. People are not purpose driven. People are material happiness driven, so they are driven by this material happiness, like, okay, I'm going to have cars, bungalows, bank balance, status, and all of that. But no one has any purpose or principles to it, because a man or woman who's leading life with principles, values, and purpose has no problem with gender issues.
Hmm.
They will value everybody, because in their eyes every single creature is equally important. And because the values are instilled in such a way. But I think the generation is a little bit getting distant from this value system,
Mm-hmm.
and getting into so much into result. And that I see in
Across
corporate
everything.
world also. It's like we are so much into becoming somebody in 5 years, or becoming somebody in 10 years, that we if I were to ask, would you be alive in 10 years, no one knows. Even I wouldn't be. So how come we are thinking of what's going to happen? But if you were to live in this moment and treat this very moment as your last moment, you will never have those problems. I think people really, it's about a mindset, and I'm sure it's changing. There are a lot of people who are changing also, and there's a lot that has been spoken on this very subject. And I'm sure people like you, me, and zillions of others, who
Mhm.
will contribute, and who will work hard to make this planet a better place for
Awesome.
every single
Great.
citizen of the world.
So now, having said that, before I let you go, I know you're a very busy woman. Um, I'd like you to leave our audience and myself with three things that you would like to share that will help propel us in a way of how to enhance dignity, how to work from attitude, and how can we empower ourselves.
Wow. my first favorite quote would always be to learn the habit of saying no.
Mhm.
Please say no when you don't feel connected with anything. Don't let the fear of, results
Mhm.
drive you.
Mhm.
And, that's where you're not you anymore. So say no is going to only bring you closer to your true self. So that's number one. Number two is to be always value driven. Values what makes you
Mhm.
person. It's values which will bring long term success to you. So don't fall prey to short term goals and deviate from your values and principles. So have very defined values and principles in your life, what you will do and what you will never deviate from. Again, the number third is that always purpose driven. When you have the attitude of saying no, when you have the right values, come on, don't waste it. Have a purpose. Have a purpose to lead this life, to inspire, aspire others. Because the day you say goodbye to this life, you should have a smile on your face that you've done your part.
And people should remember you fondly too. Mm.
Yes. So don't get carried away with materials. Nobody remembers how much bank balance you have, how many cars you have, what bungalow
Neither
you
will
have.
you be concerned because you'll be out.
You will be out, so it's like, why waste this life for that? I know this much is required in everybody's life. We are all in that race to make this much, but once you've made this much of success, don't waste it in making a big mountain out of it. Rather, share it so others grow and make this much of their lives too. So every single person grows equally, and you are able to channelize your energies better. And that would be the right way of, I think,
Wow.
seeing this.
Amazing amount of golden nuggets today. So everyone, that was Pamini Hemaprabha, not only a very amazingly established executive housekeeper, was a seasoned executive housekeeper with 7 international accolades. I'd like to have all the names so that I can put the different awards that you have. And we were speaking to her and have learned a lot today from her. So I hope we can actually, each one of us can actually put what you've said today into practice. And I like those 3 things that you left us with. So thank you very much, Pamini, for taking the time and sharing your valuable insights. And everyone out there, when you go to a hotel, please remember what Pamini has said, that every one of those amazing individuals who are in the hotels is there to serve you, but it's our job to recognize and acknowledge and value
Absolutely.
the service that we receive. Because that
Absolutely.
is one of the first things that we should actually know is to acknowledge people for the
Abs-
amazing work that they do.
Absolutely.
That is the most important thing. So, hats off to the hotel industry, and hats off
Thank you.
to housekeeping, and hats off to the International Housekeeping Forum and Association. You
Woo!
guys
Very
did an
nice.
amazing job. And thank you for being in our world, actually, to make it more fun.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you so
so
much,
much.
Jenny. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for this opportunity.
It's likewise. I mean, I think I value you for the amazing person that you are. I mean, you don't find very many people like you. So you're unique unto yourself. And it's been a pleasure having you. I'm going to call you back because I want to talk more about Say No and then the
Mhm.
upcoming book, Dare. Dare to be different, man.
Yes, definitely.